if it's a spiritual problem, it's a spiritual problem. And you may be wondering, how do I know if I'm over-spiritualizing this? I would actually encourage you to realize that you might be under-spiritualizing the issue. There's a lot of people talking about how you should not over-spiritualize things right now. And things like Peter Scazzero's emotionally healthy spirituality would concur. Sometimes you really do need therapy or a glass of water or better discipline in your life. Many things are not a purely spiritual problem. That's just common sense. But when it is a spiritual problem, it's definitely a spiritual problem. But here's the real kicker. Spiritual problems tend to lock themselves onto things that were already out of order. Chaos and disorder are breeding grounds for spiritual chaos and disorder. And sometimes when something's a little bit out of order or a little bit out of alignment, other stuff will kind of come and be like, this seems like a great place for me, and I am just gonna hunker down here. And so that's why a lot of times with things like mental illness or people that just are really struggling to get their lives put back together, or people that seem stuck in cycles of chaos, a lot of times there is a spiritual issue going on, but the real issue started when things got put out of order in the first place. And one of the things that's really important, I feel, to realize is that mental health and spiritual health and physical health are all super important for keeping your life in order so that you're not making a little nest of an attractive place for spiritual disorder as well. And so a lot of people say, some people will studiously avoid dealing with it as a spiritual issue, and some people will want to deal with issues as purely physical issues. And the truth is that you need to do both. So if you have mold in a damp bathroom and the mold is coming out from behind the tiles, you could replace the tiles, but unless you've determined the source of the moisture and the leak, and you've actually fumigated the house, you're probably going to have more mold come back. Yay. So, sometimes you have to really go in and deal with the cause of what caused the moisture in the first place, but then you also have to remove the black bathroom tiles that are probably super carcinogenic. And that's why when someone draws your attention to spiritual entities or disorder in general, it's not spiritualizing a problem. It's actually saying that, hey, this is the source of the moisture. Let's deal with the source of the moisture and then clean up what it's done. I love in the book of Mark where Jesus has this guy named Legion come find him. And Legion has some issues. He has a lot of spiritual disorder. He has a lot of spiritual entities that are clinging on to him. But he still has the ability and the wherewithal to go to Jesus. But when Jesus has driven all of the demons out of Legion, he has Legion sit with him on a stone, clothed and in his right mind. And Jesus doesn't just do demons. Jesus does clothed and in right mind. Jesus comes not just for one thing, but for both of them. And so when we start acting like physical and spiritual are separate, we start running into trouble, because you can replace all the tile, can put clothes on the situation. But if the wall is still wet because there's a leak, that's going to be a big problem. And if you are pretending that the issue isn't present and refusing to over-spiritualize the problem, that won't resolve it. And we see in Ephesians 6 that God is strong and He wants you strong. So take everything the Master has set out for you, well-made weapons of the best materials, and put them to use so that you will be able to stand up to everything the devil throws your way. This is no weekend war that we'll walk away from or forget about in a couple of hours. This is a for keeps, a life or death fight to the finish against the devil and all his angels. Ephesians 6:12, Message version. That's why, as a seer, writing about the spiritual realm online, I want to scream it from the mountaintop. We don't always realize the influence that has caused the mold in the bathroom. And we need people that can see behind the wall to say, hey, actually, this is the source of the moisture. Why? So we can plug up the leak and replace the tiles. Observations are super powerful, and the way that we interact with these realms does change them. Hey there, I'm Mary. I've spent 30 years looking in the spiritual realm for insight, but Jesus is still the only face I recognize in a crowd. I write and teach on the spiritual realm and recognizing Jesus in a crowd. If you enjoyed this, I have some online courses that go a little bit more in depth than a YouTube comment section can take us. And I also have a free Substack with a ton of free articles on it. But if you just enjoyed the video, hit subscribe and then hit the next video. I've got more for you.